All right, welcome to today's summit interview, and we're here with Troy Assoignon. Hopefully, I got that right. That's going to be my
Yeah,
best.
pretty close.
That's my best guest. Who's actually the vice president of the Young Entrepreneur Society, which is a growing, really interactive group on Facebook, and that's actually how we connected. And what I love about Troy is really his willingness and his passion for growth and his enthusiasm about improving himself. And so he spent a lot of time, kind of as a serial entrepreneur, came up and fell down and came back up again. And what's awesome is he's been able to create a really exciting and kind of thriving group on Facebook, which is one of the most one of my highlights of my day as I check my feed. So Troy, welcome to the summit.
Thank you so much, Hector. I really appreciate you having me here.
So tell me, man, my first question is always, why are you so passionate about growing, and also why are you so passionate about helping others to kind of grow themselves and ultimately their business as well?
I love that. Why am I so passionate? Seeing the change in other people, seeing the change in myself, and being able to see people excel and get to the next level. Like when you start, example, last week I was working with a guy. He's been working on his business for probably about 6 months and has had minor mediocre results. And within the past month of coaching him, he has now moved full time into his business from his part time job. So just seeing the change in people, like when you're able to work with them and able to see them jump leaps and bounds compared to where they were before.
Yeah, that's huge. I think that's what did it for me. I started out in sales, and it's awesome to land a big sale, but when you start managing and coaching, it's really cool to see someone else land a big sale. So
Absolutely.
that's awesome. So
Yeah, he sent me a Snapchat yesterday actually, and he's like, "Dude, thank you so much. I was finally able to leave my job. I just landed two big contracts because of the coaching with you." And to me, like that was so rewarding. Even yeah, he still paid me for the coaching, but that message right there, like that just hit me in the feels. And
uh,
it's like that feels so good knowing that you made such an impact in somebody else's life.
yeah, and I think that's what real entrepreneurialism is about being able to give back value.
Absolutely.
And that's that's when you get paid for it. So
Absolutely.
talk to me a little bit about your story and some of the things that stand out to you. Maybe there's a story or a moment in time where you kind of realized that growth was the way to success, and growth, growing yourself was ultimately how you were going to grow your business. Is there a time that stands out when you really made that decision or that commitment?
Yep, absolutely. I'll jump a little bit into my backstory. I mean, it's a little longer, but I'll cut it down as much as I can. So basically, in 2013, I was running a contracting company. I had 12 employees. We had payrolls of upwards of 14 grand every 2 weeks. And we didn't get paid on a large contract. I gave the final invoice of 90 grand, and they didn't pay me anything. So quickly, my accounts ran really dry. And before this, I was always searching for something else. Like I was running an interior company for years, and I knew there was something more. There was always something like this can't be it. This can't be the only thing that I'm doing for the rest of my life. So after essentially everything hit the fan and kind of broke down, I got really depressed for I want to say about a year or so, and I was just searching and searching. And this is one thing that I'll never forget is how one connection can change your life. I found a guy on LinkedIn about 2.5 years ago, and I just shot him a message and I was like, "Hey man, like this is where I'm at. Like he looked like he was up to something. I want to learn more from him. I was like, can you help me out?" And so he ended up coaching me. I paid him for a bunch of trainings on marketing and coaching and whatnot. And from there, we ended up starting the Young Entrepreneur Society. I ended up running my own branding agency, my marketing consultancy. All Everything can come from is one connection. You don't know what connection that comes into your life that is going to change it. So, I mean, that's just a quick little backstory on it. But the biggest thing is just like you don't know where one person's going to take you. One connection can completely change your whole life within a matter of. I mean, I met my girlfriend that I moved out to Vancouver, BC from starting the Young Entrepreneur Society. So if I wouldn't have went through that really low time, I wouldn't have met the guy on LinkedIn. We wouldn't have started this big networking group, which grew to 8,500 people. And I wouldn't have found the love of my life on Facebook through a Facebook group. And now I live in BC with her. So it's like you just never know where it's all going to lead. and just nurturing all your relationships and connections along the way.
Wow, what an awesome story. And I think that a lot of, this kind of leads into my next question, but I think our generation is, I call it like the microwave generation, where they're used to things
Yeah.
happening so quickly and
Yeah.
they don't always see, the overnight success often comes with a bunch of, trials before that. So that's great.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, one big thing with people coming into our Facebook group that I've realized with lots of millennials is they just want to spam their links. They don't want to add value to other people's lives. See, like people buy from people they know, like, and trust. So you want to build trust with people. People aren't just going to click your link and buy your product. Maybe they will, but it's not a way to grow a sustainable business. We have probably over 700 posts right now waiting to be approved into the group, but 90% of them are spam. There's no real actual value that people are adding to lives. So add value to other people's lives. It will come back to you. It takes time. Like you said, it's the microwave generation, but it's like you never know where it, like, it comes back to earlier. You never know adding value to somebody's life where that one connection might take you.
Yeah, that's huge. And so I guess that was my next question is what do you see are some things that are some pain points for millennials and for young people, especially those who are trying to start a business or be an entrepreneur?
Yeah. Biggest thing I think is taking action, because I was on a podcast earlier and I was talking about this. Clarity comes from creation. So you will never have the perfect plan. You will have an idea that works, but your plan will never be picture perfect. So when you start to take action on that plan, you're going to run into roadblocks, you're going to run into new opportunities, and then you just pivot along the way. You're always going to have different things that come up and different obstacles or whatever, new ways to go. But like, have a vision of your end goal of what you want to do and get on that path so you can be ready to course correct at any moment that is beneficial to the direction that you're going.
Wow, that's huge. I love that. I've recently learned that it's iteration,
Absolutely.
taking course correction. So talk to me about some of the things, you talked about being down, in your business and then, finding a way and making connections. What are some things that you found or things that you did on a consistent basis, things that you really look to as the significant actions that you took that kind of helped to, ascend that ladder almost again?
Absolutely. Well, I was a graphic designer I'm still a graphic designer for about 14 years going now. And one way that I got a lot of mentorship was I'd provide people value by offering them design services. I didn't have a ton of cash starting up, so I was like, hey, how can I learn from these people and add a lot of value to their lives, hang out in their circles? I just supply them with graphics and branding packages. I mean, I wouldn't suggest doing a bunch of free services for people when you're starting up, because the cash flow is king, getting cash into your bank account. But if you want to work with some high level mentors, figure out ways that you can provide value to their lives. And you add value to their lives, they'll mentor you. Maybe not, maybe they might charge you, but I mean, just figuring out what you're good at, what you can currently do. For example, we have a kid in the Young Entrepreneur Society right now. He's 14 years old and he is a master at Instagram. He gets it on a deep level. Right now, he's building up a couple accounts for us, and we're going to give him a case study in the group and get him a bunch of clients. So it's like figuring out ways that you can add value to people's lives to showcase your talents and prove that you're actually worth them investing time into you.
What do you look for when you are looking for partnerships or people to align yourself with? What are some key things that you look for in other people?
Absolutely. Track records. That's a good question. When you're partnering with people, I mean, you want to patterns repeat themselves in people. When somebody has a pattern that they consistently repeat with other partners and different things like that, I think that's really important to pick up on. Also, having people that complement your weaknesses. I mean, you may be good, Hector, at something that you do really well, and I may be terrible at doing what you do really well. So, and vice versa. I may be good at something that you're really terrible at. So also having complementing relationships, like I'm a creative in a big picture. System, finding partners that have strengths that you have weaknesses in. For example, say Hector, say you're really strong in systems, but you're not really good at being a creative and thinking really big picture. And I'm really good at thinking big picture, and you can do systems. Having that complementing relationship, something that you can benefit from the other person, they can benefit from you, and together you can technically be some sort of superhero team.
Yeah, that's big because I think people feel that they have to do it all on their own, but
Oh,
it's
you
about finding
can't do it
people.
all on your own. Like I'm not a systems guy. I'm learning systems because I have to, but it's a lot more difficult for me to put together a really elaborate system than it is for somebody that just understands it on a deep level.
Yeah, yeah, that's big. Okay, well, I'm going to take the conversation a little bit different a direction because I'm very
Yeah,
curious.
absolutely.
We at Millennial Skills, we talk about ten key skills that are really important to crafting, a fulfilling life. And it starts off with finding the purpose, and then actually learning how to set goals, mindfulness, and being able to be present. We talk about those are our top three. Do you feel that though? I mean, those are some things that once you're in the personal growth space, you realize are some of the kind of high leverage things. But do you feel that those things play an impact on young people, especially when they are running their own business or starting out a venture to create their own brand?
Oh, absolutely. I think awareness is one of the biggest things, like mindfulness and being aware of like little nuances in people and things going on around you. I think that can be one of the most important things, like just having a hyper awareness of situations, of whether it be nuances of like interactions when you're in a sales conversation and all of a sudden the whole energy switches, like just being really aware of like how you really affect your reality.
Wow. Yeah, that's big too. We talk about being able to be influential and being able to
Hmm.
have make a difference because I think with the internet and some of the technology that's come along, it's never been more possible for you to really scale your influence. So that's huge.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I mean, even we just wrote a book on influence at massinfluencereport.com if any of your readers want to check that out.
Yeah,
So it's
talk to me about what some of the what are some of the key tenets of that and maybe even why someone might want to pick that up.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I mean, it's based around what we did with Yes, because Young Entrepreneur Society, the title of the book is How to Build a Cult-like Following and Sell Damn Near Anything with Ease. And I mean, the word cult is in culture. So it's like people are begging for somebody to lead them. You can become a leader in your niche, in your industry, anywhere. Like you just have to educate people and show them that you are the expert. For example, one thing that we talk about in that book too is Rolex and Timex watches. A Rolex watch and a Timex watch both keep time. One's $20,000 and one's $100. The only thing that's different, the material is a little bit different, but the status of it and the way that it makes you feel when you buy it. When somebody owns a Rolex, they are perceived as the top dog. So it's that emotional response and that emotional feeling that they have when they're associated with a luxury item. So, I mean, that's a little synopsis of what it's about. Just building a following, leading people. Positioning is one of the main things in it. Like when you have powerful positioning, you don't really have to sell anymore. You don't have to go into a cold market and just hard sell people. Last week, I had a phone call with a guy and closed a sale within 12 minutes, where most sales conversations have taken me in the past anywhere between half an hour to an hour. When your positioning is on point, you don't really have to sell because the selling's already been done for you.
That's big. So
Yeah,
what would you call Young Entrepreneur Society? Like when people ask, like, what is that? What do you and
absolutely.
maybe ask a better question to someone who is not in the personal development world or for personal
Hmm.
growth. How would you explain that to
Yeah,
someone?
absolutely. I mean, it's a group where just like-minded people can come together and essentially brainstorm. What would I call it? The biggest thing, like I was saying at the beginning, is everything you want comes from other people. Like you can't do business without other people. So our group is basically a group filled with education and a bunch of entrepreneurs that are going out there and getting it. So whether it be you're looking for knowledge or you're looking for connections or wisdom or anything like that. Like example, last week, I had a guy that was staying at our house from Kelowna in BC. He was looking for a place in Las Vegas. All the hotels were booked up because of conferences. I knew a guy that moved from Brazil to Vegas. Me and him connected once. I put those two in touch, and he stayed at this guy's house from the one connection in the Young Entrepreneur Society. So it's like there's connections all around the world, and people are willing to help you if you're willing to provide them value back and not be, like I was saying earlier, like spamming your links and trying to get all the time. When you give back in the group, you'll get so much out of it. Like so many people's lives have changed just from Yes alone. I know guys who've started huge 6-7 figure companies just from a couple connections in the group. So
Wow, that's huge. And it all comes back to what you talked about at the beginning, really just finding those connections and people to align yourself with. So that's
yep,
awesome
absolutely.
that something like Yes is even available. Um,
Absolutely.
Couple of quick questions that I always ask, and you know, if you could go back to maybe the beginning of your entrepreneurial career or the beginning of your growth journey, whenever that was for you, what
hmm
skill or habit do you wish you had back then that you feel could really multiply and build on itself for
Absolutely.
today?
I mean, one of the biggest things when I was running my contracting companies, I didn't work out whatsoever. And realizing how big of an impact that has on you, like as entrepreneurs, we deal with a lot of stress. When you work out, you shake up the cortisol in your body and it leaves your system essentially. So it's like stress management. Honestly think having some sort of workout routine. I'm not going to lie, I'm not as proficient as I'd like to be on my workout routine, but I've started back up again recently. Just having rituals in your day, like honestly, one of my big things is as soon as I wake up in the morning, drinking a giant glass of water, because that's when you wake up after 8 hours of sleep, that's the most dehydrated that you'll be throughout your entire day. You've just went 8 hours without water. So, I mean, getting your organs primed, getting everything primed. I do green smoothies all the time with superfoods in it. What else? I was talking earlier about state control too on another podcast about managing your state with whether it be upbeat music and just really taking control of if you wake up in a funk, like really forcing yourself out of it with body movement and really upbeat music or upbeat motivation or anything like that that's going to pull you out of the reality that you're in and really force you to be in another one. Because when you're operating from a good state, you're going to create good work. Whereas if you're operating from a fear state or, you're a little pissed off that day, it's going to reflect on everything that you do.
Wow. Is there any? I'm curious. What thought leaders, authors, what people do you look to for your either inspiration or knowledge? Where do you
Yeah.
find yourself going?
One of the biggest ones that I started with was Eben Pagan when I first got into this whole marketing, consulting, branding area. Eben Pagan. I listen to a lot of Jay Abraham, Stephen Covey. Who else? Yeah, those are my big top like practical wisdom business guys. Like they've been in the trenches. They're not. They only really sell higher ticket programs anyways, so they're not just feeding you a bunch of information to get you into their lower ticket programs. So I think Jay Eben and Stephen Covey are my top three.
Big. Well, before we wrap up here, anywhere where can people find you, Troy, and where would you like people to direct them? Where can they link up with the Yes Society?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, you can get our book at massinfluencereport.com. You can search up the Young Entrepreneur Society International on Facebook. You can also find me. This will be live within the next week. So exclusivebrandingagency.com. You can find me on there, or you can just find my name at the beginning of this podcast and add me up on Facebook and shoot me a message.
Yeah, Troy, I want to thank you, and you can, give us any last words after this, but I want to thank you for being so willing to jump on, and just your enthusiasm is really infectious, and it's cool when you go on to Facebook and look for a group of young, inspired people and you actually find it. That was
Yeah,
that was really
absolutely.
cool. So thanks for
Absolutely.
what you've been able to build. Any last words for the audience?
Just find your path and stick with it. When you get mentors and different people in your life, take knowledge that applies to you or wisdom that applies to you and fit it to your reality. Because you can be getting coached and mentored by other people, but if what they're teaching you, for example, if you're learning to make money from a millionaire and he's got a terrible family life, don't take advice from him on how to build a good family. Take advice from him on how to make a lot of money. So, like, using people's wisdom for what you need to be and not taking everything for gospel.
You heard it. That's awesome.
Right on.
Well, thank you so much, Troy. Hopefully, guys, this helped you to be able to create some more money and more meaning in your life. We'll see you guys on the next interview.